What exactly do we know at this moment? Have these accounts been frozen by the NSDL or not? Because the very basis of the market moving in the way that it did is currently under question itself.
NSDL would be the best organization to clarify that for you, that whether these funds have been frozen or not. But of course, there is a suspect that whether these funds were frozen or not. However, just to clarify, just to add on to the fact that why these funds, why the group companies and the way the stocks tanked was simply because of the fact that you do not have that much of a free float. Because you do not have that much of a free float, and that is any suspect of whether the money is kosher or not will lead to an impact, and the stocks are more prone to manipulation. And that is one of the reasons why we saw such a huge fall in these shares.
It's very clear that in a market as large as India, and especially in the last 14-15 months where we have seen our valuations go up, I would have expected that the stock depository would have come out with a clarification either ways. It's very tough to now fall in the camp whether the story was right or not, and I'm going to skip that for a moment. I believe it is incumbent on the overall market regulatory architecture to clarify such a matter, especially given that there's been such a steep erosion in the value for investors. I think that's a given regardless of whether there is a corporate war, whether it is alphabet A, B, C, D, we don't know that.
So I'm really astonished that something like this could happen, and Rahul, and in the evening we are still speculating whether NSDL has indeed frozen some of these FII accounts or not. Now, it's a fact that these stocks have run up, whatever, 600%, some companies 1000%, as you said, in the last 1 year. And Rahul, it's also a fact, I must remind you here, that last 2020 February, the SEBI had made a statement that it is going to monitor much more closely tax havens like Mauritius and the kind of flows that are coming from there, and the monitoring in terms of looking at the end beneficiaries of these accounts that are investing through FIIs.
Such kind of stocks going up in a hurry, they are looking for an excuse to fall. And you know, there is a general distrust in the market when you have a news which comes out which doesn't smell good. People will run for cover if they have made, you know, good money in recent past. So you know, good time for speculation, and I don't think there is anything unusual.
Retail inflation has climbed up. People's pockets are pinching at a time when incomes are low. You tell me what's gone wrong then.
We do not have enough oil. We have to import. We are dependent on the OPEC countries, which actually is a oil producing nation. And if you just analyze, there is an upward pressure on global crude prices purely because the OPEC countries have collectively decided not to increase the production. So there is a mismatch of production and the demand, production and the supply. So I think that is leading to higher crude prices globally, and that will certainly importing countries, it will impact.
Sir, there is also profiteering. Sir, you cannot, sir, no, I won't let you get away so easily. You cannot deny there is also profiteering taking place. Look at the taxes that are being imposed on fuel prices. And in the month of February, just a minute, in the month of February, when they only went up by 0.6%, that's because you didn't put any duties and taxes because there were elections. Now, fuel prices cannot be dependent on elections. They should be dependent on market forces. You must be honest.
Government have limited sources for revenue. And if many of the sources which had dried up due to earlier lockdown, subsequent lockdown, a lot of issues with during pandemic, I think you have to understand that government have limited resources.
I appreciate that, but you are robbing the middle class.
And Petroleum Minister had mentioned that we require money for vaccination. Why then you are constructing Modi Mahal? First point. Second point, I am very categorically I am pointing out that whenever we talk about fuel prices, it is international prices. Rajdeep, today the fuel prices is something around $72 a barrel, and we had reached last year at $30 a barrel. Had we received any benefit of 1 paisa also? No. During the election, the international crude prices had increased by 720 rupees a barrel. But instead of increasing, the petrol and diesel prices were reduced in our country by 75 paisa per litre. In other words, fuel pricing in the current government is not dynamic, it is purely a political price.
The opposition says, how can they trust the trust
when a property that was sold for 2 crore rupees was then sold to the trust for 18.5 crore rupees in under 10 minutes.
First and foremost, this 2 crore thing, let's settle this. There were 3 agreement to sell, not sale deed, agreement to sell executed between Kusum Pathak and Sultan Ansari in 2011,
yes,
2017 and 2019. The last one being executed on the 17th of September 2019. So the average price of all the agreements right since 2011 to 2019 was 2 crore. Point number 1. And these were just agreement to sell. So before moving to the next point, I will just say people have also asked, why did the trust not directly purchase from Kusum Pathak? Why did they have to purchase the said plot of land from Sultan Ansari and Ravi Tiwari? The limited response to that, Gaurav, is that Kusum Pathak was obliged to engage in a transaction with Sultan Ansari because she had already taken rupees 50 lakh as advance. Please don't confuse that in 2 seconds or in 2 minutes or in 5 minutes 2 crores became 18 crores. Not even 2019, 2011 se agreement to sell ki kai negotiations and discussions and documentations happened between Kusum Pathak and Sultan Ansari.
Okay.
So the land price skyrocketed not in 5 minutes, Sanjay Singh.
Fact of the matter, underlying everything is that there is one party who made 16 crores in 5 minutes. And on that party's agreement, the names that have been written include a BJP leader, a very important BJP leader who's the mayor of Ayodhya. And the party whose beneficiary is a relative of that BJP leader. So how many such nexuses exist where somebody who's, have you come across, Gaurav, any deal where the broker makes 90% of the deal? What does the broker bring to the table? Just an agreement. And the broker is making 90% of it. What is the value addition? Because the broker can get the mayor to be a witness, can get a trustee to be a witness, and can enable the transaction with the trust. This is the only value addition.
After the Honorable Supreme Court's verdict, the land prices jumped like anything. And today, Mrs. Tiwari who sold the land, our Mr. Ansari was not traceable. Tiwari who came on record and issued a press statement. ये मेरी 20 करोड़ की जमीन मैंने 18.5 करोड़ में बेची क्योंकि मेरी इस भगवान राम में आस्था है. So and now the ready reckoner rate or the circle rate, what we say, the circle rate is 5.8 crore rupees, and we all know circle rate and the market rates are always different.